Hello and welcome to the Big Curve Podcast, episode 11. Hey, we're 11 now.
What's happening?
We're 11. You could almost listen to us to and from work in 1 week. We're old now. We're 11. That's amazing. This can be the Monday of the next week after you listen, if you listen every day. Anyways, my name is Jeff. My co-host here is Trampas. And like I said, this is episode 11. And today we got a lot to talk about. Mostly, our last episode, our special guest, we had Jimmy Haha from Jimmy's Chicken Shack. And we were talking about the year 1996. But inside of that conversation, I think a lot was left out.
Right.
Because it was a pretty pivotal year in music. And also, it's funny listening back on that interview with Jimmy because, I think a week later they announced this gigantic U.S. tour, the biggest, probably one of the biggest tours they've done in 20 years.
How did I miss that?
I don't know, but I was like, dude, why didn't you announce it on our show? Come on, man. He was talking about playing some shows, but I did. It's the whole U.S.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's a couple, 2 months long or something.
Really?
But yeah.
Damn.
Let's talk about 1996. Now, there was a couple albums. Now, most of the albums we talked about on the last episode were major releases.
Right.
We didn't get into. That was a really big time for club bands.
We didn't really get into the shit that I was listening to.
Right. Or I was, right. We were talking about Beck and shit, and I was like, I don't know shit about Beck.
Right.
All right. So, what are your 96 releases?
My number one, let me just tell you what my number one of that year was, is Hissing Prigs in Static Culture by Brainiac.
Oh, Brainiac.
Yeah.
I remember looking them up a few years ago and listening back and going, damn, they were pretty awesome.
Nobody sounded like that.
No.
Even still.
And what happened?
The lead singer died.
Right. He had it was leukemia or something.
No, it was pretty wild. He got a used car, but that used car had a carbon monoxide leak.
What?
And he was driving this thing for weeks, and he was slowly getting poisoned over time.
Holy, I've never heard of anything like that.
Right, yeah, and they were in the studio making their new album, and he was like, all right, I'm going to drive home. And he just crashed his car from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Did the family sue the shit out of the manufacturer? I would assume.
Well, it was a used car, so I don't know.
Oh,
yeah.
God. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I had no idea.
Yeah. A really good documentary on them on YouTube.
Did they ever?
YouTube. Well, it's probably on YouTube.
Did they release it? Did they release that album, or did they ever finish it, or was that was it?
They may have released what they had. I don't know.
Man, that's a wild story. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
So all right. So
on Amazon. That's the service I saw.
Oh, okay. The
documentary on.
Oh, cool. I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Sweet. Speaking of which. I want everybody to get up on their music documentaries because I want to do a whole episode about it soon. They just released the Biz Markie documentary. I watched it last week, and oh shit, it's good, man. Bowie's finest.
Yeah. Are they in Bowie?
No, they don't mention Bowie or Laurel or anything about Maryland at all, beginning to end.
Wow.
But let me say one thing about it because I want you to watch it. And now it's on Showtime, it's on Paramount Plus, it's on Hulu. You can see it.
All right.
Here's the one thing I want you to first off, he was popular way earlier than I thought that he was popular. He was popular way back Slick Rick Dougie Fresh times. And I thought he came a little bit after that, but I was wrong. Because he didn't have a lot of albums. So it's hard to place that.
Biz Markie.
Well, some of them aren't even available anymore.
Really?
Because
I need to check that out.
He was caught up in the whole sampling bullshit.
No, really?
Yeah. He got caught up in that stuff.
Oh,
and
man.
it was one song, and I think it was gay. It was. You'll see it in the thing. It was one artist totally fucked it in the whole album. So the thing I want you to notice is it's a pretty standard music documentary, except he got married in I think 2018 and died in 2021 maybe. So he was married for 3 years at the end, and she's a big part of it, which good on her. I'm not saying, they were best friends for 20 years before that. But they keep going to the scene of Biz as a puppet in the hospital dying. They were doing that to explain how he died.
Yeah.
And they kept just showing him as a puppet, with headphones on, rocking out. And then the doctor come in and talk to the wife, explaining what's happening. But the wife is his real wife, filming this, going, "Okay, doctor." Okay, it's like a soap opera going on, and then Biz as a
So
puppet.
this is like a dramatization.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
With Biz as a puppet, and it looks like a Crank Yankers puppet. And I say that because I was talking to Guy Lane about that. I was like, the puppet thing, and he's like, yeah, it was like a fucking Crank Yankers. It's weird, but outside of that,
how did he die?
Oh my God, I just watched the effing documentary. It was it happened during COVID, but I think it was like a diabetes kind of thing.
Okay,
like
so
it was
like coming, like he saw it coming.
Yeah. He was in the hospital for like 9 months before he died, like straight.
Oh, really? Oh wow.
But
so I almost wonder if that was like maybe his idea. You're like, hey, you know, it'd be funny.
yeah, I know. And like I said, I don't think it was disrespectful or anything. It was hard to get used to.
Yeah.
You know, halfway through the documentary, you're like, okay, they're doing this again. It was fine. But for her, I was kind of like, isn't that weird to film that? Like, I don't know. You know what? I'm probably totally wrong about that. It was some kind of, I think it was a blood clot or something. Like whatever it was, he just couldn't recover from it.
Okay.
And it was during COVID, so he didn't have any visitors. He was all alone.
Oh, damn.
It was like one of those things. But anyway, so watch that. It's really good, and you know they really give him. They discuss all the things. You'll see it where he was a character in SpongeBob, and he was on Yo Gabba Gabba, and he did all this kid stuff at the end, which was super cool. But I don't want to get too much more into it because 1996. What is next on your list?
On mine, another indie. Well, that was like the last good Soundgarden album.
Which one? Which was
Down on the Upside.
Yeah. But there was still probably some stinkers on there. And when I say a Soundgarden stinker, I'm not putting them down. Like they just, I think that people that are fans of Soundgarden after a certain time that didn't get to live, Loud Love and that era. And, when they were more of a noisy, percussive, like off tempo, like juggernaut. And then they started writing, like big rock songs, big alternative rock songs, like, even Black Hole Sun and stuff like that. Like those guitars, dude, on those first 3-4 albums, I mean, dude, and drumming,
Well, I mean, I'll listen to Chris Cornell sing The Phone Book.
Right.
He's got like one of the all-time rock voices.
Yeah.
Like, same reason I'll listen to Van Halen 3. It's like, I want to hear Eddie Van Halen play guitar.
Right.
I'll listen to Chris Cornell sing.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I just, there was a VHS tape called Louder Than Live that came out after the Loud Love.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I could watch that so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, even the dumb shit that he does, like when he puts down his guitar and he surfs on it just to get the feedback and all that kind of crazy stuff, and they play Earache My Eye by Cheech and Chong, and all of it is just like, god damn, I wish I got to see them around then.
Yeah, I never saw them. Did you ever see them?
I may have seen them, no, I didn't. They never, I don't think they played any of the Lollapaloozas I was at or anything. I don't think I ever saw Soundgarden.
I remember watching a concert film of theirs, and they looked boring as shit. Like
but early on, they did not look boring. They looked like they were the band to see.
Did they? I mean, I don't know. No. I've only seen this one live.
You never saw the Louder Than Love video stuff? I mean, it's in black and white. Dude, it's so good.
No, I haven't seen that.
And in fact, I saw it at your house.
What? Yeah. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been forever ago.
Yeah, so, but that is actually going to be part of what we get into in a few minutes here. But so, that was around the time... that was like 1996 for me was prime Memory Lane days, in Baltimore, where we were all going to Memory Lane, and all these huge bands were coming through playing this little oldies club.
Right. Archers of Loaf.
Archers of Loaf.
Had a great album that year, All the Nation's Airports.
Yeah, Archers of Loaf, and who was Babe the Blue Ox.
Oh, yes, of course.
They were coming. They seemed like they were coming through every few months, like these just huge bands.
I think Baltimore was like one of their cities. Babe the Blue Ox, I think they
that's
really
where they
enjoyed.
Were getting the love.
Yeah.
That happens to bands.
It does. It's weird, like Tribal Voice in Pensacola, Florida.
Right. Would you remember?
Weird.
I'm trying to remember hard. You were in Landspeedrecord with me for a short period. Did you ever go on the road with us outside of Blacksburg?
Was that Dry County? We played a place called the Stinkin' Rose. I remember. It was like a restaurant that only served like garlic dishes.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
Was that somewhere down in like Virginia or North Carolina or something?
I think it was North Carolina.
Yeah. It was dry?
Yeah.
What did we do?
Oh, we just
drank Pepsi? So that was a thing like with Landspeed Record. Like we'd go down to like Wilmington or Blacksburg.
Wilmington. Yeah.
And
at We Fest, they loved us.
Yeah, and
crazy.
then New Brunswick, New Jersey. But then
Court Tavern, yeah.
It was so weird, man. That like, and then we'd play in Baltimore to 4 people.
Yeah. Baltimore had no love for Landspeed Record.
It is such a shame.
I mean,
what a freaking shame.
And I'm not saying that because I was in the band and my friends were in the band, but out of all the bands that came out of Baltimore, it is a fucking shame that Landspeed Record never got their due.
Dude, and I try to talk to those guys now and re-release stuff and to do stuff, and they're all just like, I don't care. I don't care.
You're right.
They've all, we lived it, we did it, so I don't know. Maybe we'll see a Big Curve release eventually with a bunch of Landspeed stuff. But they seem happy. But
evidently, there's a shit ton of like unreleased stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, there is a shit ton of unreleased stuff that I did with them, and I was only in the band for like 4 years, and I was on 2 or 3 of the albums, and there's all this unreleased stuff. The great part about being in a band like Landspeed Record back then, and we're talking, this was most of this time was still 2-inch reel. Where, Charlie, who is the guitar player, singer, the mastermind of Landspeed Record.
Brilliant songwriter.
He owns a studio.
Absolutely love him.
He owned the studio, right? So we would go in the studio. Sometimes it would just be me and him, and we would just roll tape, and we would fucking play for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then he'd listen to that stuff, and then some stuff he'd keep, and then we'd build songs off of it, and you would just keep going. The tape would always be rolling, and since he taped everything, it was awesome. And some of that stuff is surfacing. Another thing about 1996 was that was right in the middle of the time I was in the band One Spot Fringehead, and a couple of weeks ago, we did some demos for Columbia Records. Before we did the demos, we did pre-production demos at a studio called Oz Studio in Baltimore. And a dude named Mike Rippey,
sure.
Is that a blast from the past name, right?
Yeah.
He engineered it, and that was supposed to get us ready to then go into the studio with Drew Mazarek and record these demos. Well, spoiler alert, nothing fucking happened. Columbia listened to it and was like, you should have listened to us and gone to the studio we wanted you to go to, and all this kind of stuff. I'll tell that whole story one day. It's ridiculous. But these demos just resurfaced. And so I got to hear them for the first time since 1996. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You could definitely tell half the songs were ready to go and awesome, and some of them you listen to, you're like, oh my God, where's this one going? Like there's all, because they just weren't done yet. And that's why I think we demoed them like that. There's been some talks throughout the guys in the band to maybe release it as like, hey, here, lost demos or something like that. But I think there's, as dumb as this sounds, I think there's a question of who owns them.
Oh, really?
Like who physically paid for the studio, and like there's all this shit. And I said, listen, you guys can all discuss it. When you're done with all that shit, I'll release it. Like Big Curve is happy
because they're going to make millions when it's released.
Well, that's the thing. It's nothing about that.
Yeah.
It's just about like, is it okay to put out something that someone else paid for without getting
I see someone outside the band.
Yes.
Okay, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And technically, everybody in the band at that time are still under contract for an album.
Oh, really?
No shit. And 99% of the band goes, who gives a fuck? And one guy is like, oh, I could get in legal trouble. And you're like, dude, seriously.
Right.
Anyways, it's awesome, and I can't wait for everybody to hear it. So that was another 96. But one thing I want to talk about is that, us and some of our friends and probably a good amount of our listeners who were around that time and were going to memory lane and remember all those bands and went to see Archers of Loaf and Babe the Blue Ox and even bands like the Super Suckers and Supernova and all these bands that paid attention about Zero Bot. Oh my God. They were awesome. I still got their cassette.
Yeah, they're on
their CDs.
I know they're on Apple Music. Like,
it's guys, check it out. It's Zero Bot.
Insane.
It's Zero Bot spelled with an X. So it's X-Zero Bot.
Yeah. Gorilla Monsoon played with them. It was amazing.
Yeah, like twice, I think, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I definitely remember one time, and they just blew the socks off of everybody.
They were kind of like Devo on crack.
Yeah.
Way cracked out. It wasn't pop at all. It was way out there, but it wasn't heavy.
Right.
Yeah, check out Zero Bot. Here's what I think in the mainstream. I think 1996 is the year that alternative music died forever. And it died for a couple of reasons. And I seriously want your feedback on this to see if I'm completely out of my mind. First thing is that's kind of when nu metal was starting. Okay?
Right.
So every record label and every radio station across the country had to decide, well, shit, are we going to play this music? So you take a place like the DC Metro Baltimore area and you go, okay, you're WHFS. You're literally probably the biggest alternative station in the country.
Right.
Are we going to play Korn? Are we? Are we going to go there? Because would that make us more like a DC 101 or a 98 Rock? Or what are we going to do? Here's what I believe killed it.
Okay.
The year 1996. Okay. Let's talk about the 3-4 years leading up to this, okay? Alternative was at its height. At the beginning of the 90s, 91, Lollapalooza starts.
Right.
Now, for those of you youngins, Lollapalooza used to be a tour in Canada and the U.S. It wasn't one big weekend of pop music like it is now in Chicago. It was a tour. And this is way before it turned into like Lollapalooza France and Brazil and all. It was a North American tour. It had a main stage, 2 side stages. It was a lot of fun. I believe you and I went to only 2, and I think we went to the same ones, and I think we went together. And I think ours was 93 and 94.
Yeah, I'm not big on festivals, but I think I've been to like 2 of those. Yeah,
and the years that we went, we saw bands like Parliament Funkadelic and the Beastie Boys and Alice in Chains and I think Tool and Rage Against the Machine opened one year. Tribe was on the same year as the Beastie Boys. Right. That was killer.
That was awesome.
Fishbone would play these. So many alternative bands.
Yeah.
So let's take it down a little memory lane. 1995 was the year we did not go. Okay. I don't believe you went in 95. 95, just to give you a quick letting you know where the world was.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that was the only Lollapalooza I went to.
95?
No, I guess
94.
The
one that Fishbone ended up playing at the 930 Club after and all that.
No, I didn't go to that one.
Because you were going to go to the Fishbone show.
I was going to go to the 930 show, but then they canceled it.
Yeah. All right. So
I didn't know. I actually went to the fucking club and then it was fucking closed.
So, all right. The year before, if you go back to 95, just to let everybody know where alternative music was in North America, okay? I'm talking main stage. Now, some of these bands changed city to city because it was a North American tour. I'm going to go from opener to headliner, main stage only. Just to tell you where it was. And I think everybody will get the idea. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Jesus Lizard, Beck, Moby, Elastica, Sinead O'Connor, Sinead O'Connor, Pavement, Cypress Hill, Hole, and Sonic Youth. Sonic Youth being the headliner. And you go, okay, that sounds like 2 hours of radio on HFS.
Yeah.
Those artists. That's alternative. Okay? Let's go 1 year later and listen to how it changed. 1996 is the year. Opener, Psychotica. All right, okay. Screaming Trees. All right. The Shaolin Monks. So they bring out the monks. The Shaolin Monks.
Like actual Shaolin monks?
Yeah.
So it's not a band called the Shaolin Monks.
Yeah, they're actual. They're actual Shaolin monks, right?
What
so
was
you go,
their hit?
So you go, okay. So it's like 3 PM and I'm watching monks sing, okay? But that is not what killed alternative music. All right, you still with me here? All right. After that, Rancid, punk band,
sure,
right? After them, the Ramones, punk band,
sure.
Soundgarden, alternative band. Headliner, Metallica. See the problem? See the problem there? Is they opened it up there with putting Metallica as the headliner there.
Yeah.
They fucked it up. Now, I'm a huge Metallica fan. I just went to see Metallica 2 weeks ago. I love Metallica.
Man, one day we need to have an entire conversation about Metallica.
Oh, we'll do. You know what we'll do? We'll do a show on Friday, and then we'll take off the Saturday, and then we'll do it on Sunday.
In fact, I think we could do a whole podcast on Metallica. I mean, like a whole run of like 10 episodes.
So,
because I got a lot of opinions.
Right. So, but there you go. So you look at it, you go, okay. And the other thing about that year is they didn't come anywhere near Maryland. when every other year, Maryland, Virginia, D.C. was a huge stop for Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
They were doing Lake Fairfax. I think that's where we went.
No, that was HF Festival, wasn't it?
But they did both. HF Festival quickly moved to RFK Stadium.
I remember that first HF Festival. That was good.
Yeah, we went to that.
Yeah, Violent Femmes.
Yeah, Violent Femmes, Why Not? The Laws, Gang of Four.
Gang of Four, yeah.
It was cool. I mean, I doubt... I'm not even getting over there. All right. I don't think Ballyho played. I'm just kidding. Guys, Ballyho guys, I'd love to have you on the show. Anyways, but yeah, so they didn't come to Maryland. You throw Metallica on there and you put a couple punk bands and you go, all right, this is weird. The only real alternative bands on there are Soundgarden and maybe Screaming Trees. Mm-hmm. Okay? Here's the one that really fucks me up. And this is where it sent it into a really weird thing. The next year, I couldn't name you the headliners, one song from the headliners. Orbital.
Yeah, man, I'm not.
They're the headliners of the next year.
I think they had a hit, right? I mean, well, they had to headline a festival.
I even looked up the hit and listened to it, and I don't know it.
Oh, really?
I think that's when EDM was kind of,
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So then they have Orbital. The co-headliner was Devo, which I think Devo is one of the greatest bands that ever lived, but on Lollapalooza, like at that time, like they would have been great on Lollapalooza 3-4 years earlier. And then the other bands, The Prodigy.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then
I remember them.
The Orb.
Yeah, this is big EDM shit, yeah.
Snoop Doggy Dogg, Tricky, Tool, Korn, Damian Marley, and Failure. And I'm going, and this is also the year they moved to sheds. They moved to actual venues instead of like fields.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I think that 1996 really threw things off. And I think they did it because when that happened, WHFS and all the alternative stations across North America started playing Metallica.
Yeah.
1996.
Well, what did they put out?
That's when they did like I guess Load and Reload.
Okay.
They were playing like Fuel and King Nothing and all that.
Yeah, they were trying to get into that alternative market.
But to me, it was still hard rock. It was still like
Sure, yeah, but they started doing the shit with the short hair and
right, but not musically. Their music was just tame, like tame
but
rock.
I think just basically with their image, though.
Oh yeah, they were wearing makeup and shit.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I guess.
Goddamn, we need to do a Metallica show.
All right, so that was my dig on '96. Is a lot of things changed that year, and I think that's maybe why the club scene was so hot, and these indie bands became so great, and we're touring a lot because alternative itself as a main thing in the mainstream was gone.
Yeah.
Now it was just rock. There wasn't many things that differentiated a station like a 98 Rock with a station like WHFS.
Right.
They were both playing Metallica. They were both playing Korn. One might play the Smiths on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. while the other one wouldn't. But still, there's not a big thing there. So with 1996, I think that kind of wraps it up. You and I think in 1996, it had been a couple years since I'd been to a big concert, and it would be many years after that I went to a big concert. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's also the year that Kiss reunited and did their first tour of Makeup again.
Yeah.
And I went to that, and I remember thinking, this is so weird to be in an arena.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like, so weird.
Yeah.
Because at
after
that point,
going to club shows for like years and years and years.
Yeah. I mean, and when I look back,
your favorite bands for like $10,
dude.
You know what I mean?
And some nights, get all you can drink beer for $5 and all these kind of things.
Mold for $10, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Seeing Sugar for $10,
dude.
Seeing the Ramones for like what, $15?
It's crazy. Yeah. It's nuts. So that's why I thought that I didn't want to leave 1996. I didn't want to cut it short. Oh shit, dude. Should I click?
Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me.
No, should I click? I was leaning hard on the desk. All right, we're good.
Okay.
All right. I can cut that out too, but all right. So there's one main thing I'd like to talk to you about today. And I want your opinion.
All right.
I fucking hate Shapeshifters. Shapeshifters ruin every good show and movie. I hate shapeshifters.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Like werewolves?
Any kind of shapeshifter.
Lycanthropes?
Any kind of shapeshifter. Shapeshifters. I hate them. God damn it. Marvel does that all with that stupid shapeshifters.
Oh, with
those
the,
aliens. Look.
The scrolls, what are they called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm totally into...
Dude, I'm done with Marvel, by the way. That's a whole other thing. I'm done.
Here's the thing, dude. Look, you can take a superpower or anything like that and add it to a human form or an alien that is a human-like, and I can dig it, right? Okay. You know, Superman, all that kind of shit. I dig it. I like superheroes. I like all that stuff. It's fun. But when you can completely shapeshift, come on, dude. It throws off stories. It opens up too many possibilities, and I fucking hate shapeshifters.
Okay.
I hate them. God damn it.
All right.
They really piss me off. There's a new Marvel show. You know what? I think it's called Secret Invasion.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
There was shapeshifters in the first 10 minutes, and I said, fuck this show. No shapeshifters. Aggravating. Anyways, what's up with Marvel? What you hate about Marvel?
It just seems like you're way too angry about something that's
I hate shapeshifters.
Really of consequence.
I hate them. I hate shapeshifters. I hate them. You know, it could even be anything. It could even be when a human could take another human's form. Like... It makes it just screws a story.
Yeah.
Because then everything is possible. Like they even did it with that show. What was that show that people either loved? Oh, the WandaVision.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
If you can shapeshift and be another person and confuse everybody, like what's the real purpose of that story? It's not a trick anymore. It's a complete cheat. You know, you're not acting like or dressing up like. There's not a slight difference. It's just like...
It's not like some Hitchcockian twist.
What I'm saying is that, of course, the person's going to be tricked.
Right.
You sound like them, you look like them, you act like them. Okay.
Right.
Where's the game?
Yeah.
I hate shapeshifters. I fucking hate shapeshifters. Why do you hate Marvel? Are you just done?
I just think it's too diluted now. Like same thing with like Star Wars stuff. Just done with it.
I don't know. I watched Ashoka last night, and I was digging it. The new show.
I watched the first season of The Mandalorian. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
And then they fucked it, and I was just like, okay.
Oh, dude, it's all... Look, you know, I will put this out here to the world, or our 25 listeners. I will put this out there that I can't say a single bad thing about Star Wars television. I'm not talking about cartoons, live action Star Wars. And this is why.
Okay.
25 years ago, if you would have told me that there was going to be a live action Star Wars TV show, I would have been the happiest person alive. Because to me, having a live action Star Wars show would have been the coolest thing ever. So are they going to slip here and there? Yeah. But they got the right guys behind it. Sometimes the stories drag, but you put it up next to most television, I'm going to watch Star Wars. I just like it. It's stupid. It's my childhood. There's so many things about it. I like the characters. I like the universe. I like all of it.
Yeah, well, to me, it's just like the Marvel thing. It's just so diluted. It's like, I don't need it.
I think that
I don't need another Star Wars show.
I think they took enough of a break, and I think that the seasons are short enough. Now, Marvel, I mean, you know, they got She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Oh, man.
They got, you know, Miss Marvel. They got the Hawkeye. I mean, they're just...
Yeah.
They're putting it all out there.
It's crazy, yeah.
But again, I kind of like that too. I don't know. I'm going to watch it. I don't know. I'm usually going to watch it. Secret Invasion, there's fucking shapeshifters. I can't do it. I can't do it.
It's like
I lose all respect for you if I find out you're a shapeshifter.
I've been putting off watching the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
I just watched it.
But it's like 2 hours long, and that annoys me. That annoys the shit out of me.
Let me tell you this. It's pretty good, and it's a downer. The whole movie is a big downer.
Yeah.
But it's got, if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's got all the things that you would like.
Yeah.
It's got the good music. It's got the funny stuff. It is what it is.
Marvel had a formula, and they had it down. You know what I mean? Like, as far as okay, we know where we're going to put the action part. It's going to be followed by a little bit of humor part. And then we're going to have well, especially with James Gunn. Exposition part. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But, he went over and saved DC.
Yeah, Peacemaker's so good.
Oh yeah, and
that's better than anything Marvel ever did.
Yeah, and then it's
as far as our TV shows go.
Before that, to introduce the Peacemaker, he remade the Suicide Squad, which, by the way, I think they should have changed the name. Having a movie called Suicide Squad come out, released by DC, and 3 years later have a movie called The Suicide Squad, released by DC. Yeah. Unless you are geeked into it, what the hell you know the difference?
Right.
It's stupid. But I mean, obviously, James Gunn's version was amazing.
Yeah,
it was great, and it introduced Peacemaker. And Peacemaker, all right, I think there might be some shapeshifters in Peacemaker, but I'll forgive them. I can forgive that. They haven't overdone it with the shapeshifters.
What?
It's a goddamn good show. Yeah. God bless John Cena.
Sounds like kind of reminds me of The Boys a little bit.
Yes, yeah. And The Boys, they've kind of gone around possibly jumping the shark a little bit too, but it's still good. The inside of the butt and the peanut, like that stuff. I mean, that's a TV show that can get so grotesque that it literally, it's hard nowadays to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, horror.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a little too like Seth Rogen, I want to say.
Yeah, even Seth Rogen has calmed down from that. I mean, The Boys is out there, dude. I mean, The Boys is a show some of this bullshit out there. Like, my kid's about to turn 13. I'm like, soon we'll be able to watch this or what? Like The Boys. I'm like, dude, when you're 35, just go watch it on your own. I don't want to explain any of that. I can't. Yeah. That's
Wait till mom and dad are asleep and sneak downstairs
and never mention it to me ever, exactly. Dude. Please, I don't want to see you wearing the Boys T-shirt. I don't want you talking about it because all I'm going to think about is the awful, disgusting things I've seen in that show. But yeah, so excuse me, I did 2 nights ago go see the Barbie movie.
Is it good? I've heard it's good.
Dude, it's really good.
Yeah.
My wife and daughter and all the women in my life went to go see it the night before it came out at the premiere, and they all loved it. And Ruby's been begging me to go, and I'm like, do you really want to see it again? And do you want to see it again so bad that you'll sit there with me? I don't know, but we went. And it was great. I mean, there was laugh out loud moments within the first 10 minutes that had me checking myself, going, "Oh shit, was I laughing too loud? Was I being obnoxious?" I mean, I wasn't laughing like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, but it was, I was definitely being loud, just going. I didn't expect it to be that funny that often.
Yeah,
and it was great. And you could have taken the same script. If it was directed differently and had different actors, it could have totally been a made-for-TV bomb.
Yeah.
It's the acting and the direction that made it good. Because the story itself is, whatever. It's nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Will Ferrell, and I don't think you needed any of that in this movie.
Yeah.
I think it was weird. It was it was thrown in to be let's get some old guy yelling a lot. I don't know. But it was good, man. And it was funny because my daughter was really quizzing me afterwards. She was like, "Did you really like it?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Would you watch it by yourself at home?" And I went, She was like, "You know how sometimes when you're working and you're packaging up CDs and you're packaging up stuff for hours and you put TV on even if you're not paying attention?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Would you put Barbie on?" And I go, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't. That's a good question, but I don't know if that's a good indicator of whether you like the movie or not.
It's not. It's not. Yeah. It's more of a I could see you coming over and doing the podcast and us watching a Wu-Tang documentary afterwards.
Right.
I don't think we're going to throw Barbie in.
Right.
Not because I think we'll accidentally accidentally touch each other or something, Just because it just wouldn't be. There's certain things that you enjoy with certain people.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I love watching Star Wars with my son. We love it. We hit pause because we start talking too much about it. We get all into it and stuff.
Right.
But I would also watch Star Wars by myself. I'll watch Dance Moms with Ruby. I'm not going to catch up on the episodes on my phone at the doctor's office.
Right.
There's just, I don't know, certain things. Anyways, did Colleen see it?
No.
So you guys could watch it together.
I don't think she has a desire to see that. She wanted to see Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
but that's like a 3-hour long movie. I was like,
dude, why do they torture people,
you gotta be
dude?
crazy if you think I'm going to go to a 3-hour movie.
A 3-hour movie should just be an 8-episode series. I mean, dude.
Right. But you know what?
Especially going to a theater.
There's so many 8-episode series that's coming out that I go, we should have just made it a movie. You know what I mean?
Well, like, here's an example. Go back. Forgive Star Wars for a couple of years. The movie Solo. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was a Return of the Jedi or anything, but I thought it was good. I think that it would have killed as a series.
Yeah.
I think them making it a movie was the mistake. I don't know why I feel that, but I feel like people would have thought it was much cooler if it was a TV show. And I got to see it in all of its Disney glory. I saw it at Disney on the release weekend during the Galaxy takeover of Disney. So, like, I saw it in the most Disney way you could possibly see. And I saw it in one of those theaters where, like, the seats shake and move. And, they pump smells.
I meant to tell you, I finished up The Americans.
Okay. All right, let's end the show with this. Okay. So, I believe since the very first episode of this show, we've been talking about The Americans. Okay. Right. This was a show that ended probably 5 years ago on FX. It aired for, 4 or 5 seasons? 5?
5 seasons.
5 seasons. I watched it in about a year and a half. Trav's been watching it for a couple years.
Yeah.
And because, like, if you're a fan of the show, he doesn't binge.
I did.
He enjoys. He watches.
I did. I crashed through the last 5 episodes because I was like, all right, we're ramping up to the end here.
Here's the thing. Yeah. The big question with that show is, it started in like 81 or 83 or whatever. Well, I mean, the story goes back further than that. Right. But during the series, it's probably like 83 to 88. Something around there is like the timeline. And you knew it had to end somewhere.
Right. And it did not end where how I thought it was going to end.
Which is exactly what we talked about recently. Yeah. So, this is what I'll say. And I said that we're allowed to give spoilers because if you didn't watch it by now, whatever.
Sure.
The parents go back to Russia.
Right.
And the question is, do they go back to being who they were before, or they go back to being a married couple there? And their kids totally abandon them.
I mean, it bummed me out. That ending bummed me out.
Dude, and what about the coloring of it all? It was all gray and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it was done well, but I mean, how else would it have ended? I kind of wanted the husband to leave and just turn into an American. You kind of root for that, but then he's just killing people left and right. And you're going, okay, he's not a good dude.
No, none of them are. Yeah. I thought it was going to just end with like the Berlin Wall coming down, and then they just live their life out in America, just not
as Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, the dad wanted to be an American so bad.
Right. Yeah.
What about that season where he was supposed to be a pilot and he wore that his mustaches are so goofy. Oh, and who was that character? It was that really ugly secretary lady that he was banging.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, God, what was her name? Oh, God, she was so annoying.
She is on that show, with Jennifer Connelly. God damn it, I can't remember the name of the show. Snowpiercer.
Oh, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's good. Well, have you seen the movie?
No.
Oh, the movie's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a movie called Snowpiercer.
And there's a show about snow piercing.
Right, yeah. And,
what's her name in that show? It's not Rhonda
Is it Martha?
Oh, yes, Martha. Martha. And then there's that really ugly guy who stars in the show. He's like the head of the FBI guy. He's just a really ugly guy.
What, the neighbor?
Yeah.
Really? I
think he's got a weird voice and he looks weird. He's kind of like a Frankenstein kind of. And he's like getting all these chicks. I'm like, that's bullshit. I hate that, dude. I hate that. It drives me crazy.
Well, you see an ugly dude get a hot chick?
Well, all right. Have you ever seen The Goldbergs?
No.
Okay. The entire series, you know what the kid looks like and you know what the older brother looks like. Every girlfriend they have is like the hottest girl in school. And I'm like, come on, dude. Come on. We lived in the 80s too, okay? Come on. It didn't work like that. But yeah, so it ended that way. And if you go to watch the show, okay, I still recommend it even though we spoiled it for you. But look, dude, it's about these two Russians who become conditioned and they're in a set-up marriage. They go to the U.S. They're supposed to be these KGB agents, but they're supposed to live a life and be regular Americans, and they have kids. The kids don't know. And then the daughter knows, and she's like kind of part of it.
She's going to jail at the end. I was like, why'd you get off that train? You're going to jail.
I thought she was going up there to be with the brother.
Yeah, but the FBI is going to get her. The FBI is watching the brothers.
She did shit. She actually did shit.
I know. That's why she's going to jail.
No, she didn't go to jail. She went to that awful show, Manifest.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that show.
I kind of liked it the first 2 seasons, and then, oh my God. Now she's in it, but she's like, she's an angel from God to bring everybody to the end of the world.
Wow.
And her name is Angelina.
Sounds like a heavy show.
It's close to Angel.
Sure.
I got 4 minutes to talk about this.
Okay.
Do you know about Manifest?
No.
All right, let me tell you about it. I'm still watching it, and this show jumped so many sharks. It is so horrible now, and it like got canceled, and then Netflix resurrected it, and it was during COVID, and everybody. All right, basically, there's an airplane.
Right.
It's in the air. It lands. They go through a storm. When it lands, it's 5 years later.
Ooh.
So everybody that's there at the airport, like they've all lived 5 years.
Uh-huh.
And in the beginning of the first episode, there's a big family on a trip to like Jamaica, and half of them get an offer to get on an earlier flight, or take a later flight, and they get credits or whatever. The family splits up.
Right.
So there's twins, and when they land, the one twin is 5 years older. So it's all like that. So it's kind of cool at first, and it's all this like, the girl who was on the plane, like she was engaged before she took off, and she gets back, and the guy is like with her best friend because. They'll presume dead for 5 years. Uh-huh. So they got this cool concept going on.
But they don't know how to resolve it like Lost?
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
They quickly get into this thing where all the people that were on the plane have these things called callings.
Okay.
Where they imagine they're somewhere else and there's all these clues. And if they can go to those clues, they save somebody's life. So it's like this calling kind of thing.
Okay.
And it's almost, they never know where they were for those 5 years. Because to them it was a blink of an eye, and there's all these like there's no shape shifting, but there's all these like all these things that are happening that all of a sudden are starting to point at religion, like almost, like all of a sudden Noah's Ark, like someone finds a piece of Noah's Ark, and then you got to go after that, and maybe that's where the answer is, and no, the answer is in this old church, and so it's interesting for a while, and then they got to the point where. The pilot decides to fly backwards and go back through it all. And when he comes back, he brings the 7 plagues of the apocalypse.
Jesus.
So when he coughs, like
that was a bad idea.
bats and shits come out. So it's like, and at this point though, I'm like, all right, I've invested some time. There's only like 6 episodes left. It's done. Do I just watch it?
Of course.
Yes, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it.
You need to have closure.
I know.
Because that sounds like trauma.
So everybody's job over the next 2 weeks, everybody's job is watch a couple of music documentaries. Because I'll tell you right now, some of the ones I'm going to talk about is the Bee Gees, the Go-Go's, Joan Jett, Biz Markie, Wu-Tang Clan.
Jesus.
What am I missing? What are some of the good ones that you saw?
Oh, the Brainiac.
Oh, the Brainiac one. I will watch that.
Yeah.
I will watch that.
I'll send you a link to that.
Yeah. So those are the ones. We're going to talk about some of these music documentaries. And also, on another episode, we're going to do the dreaded, not movie documentary, but the biopic. Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about The Doors. We're going to talk about James Brown. We're going to talk about Queen. We're going to talk about Motley Crue. We're going to talk about Elton John.
Was there ever a good one?
Biopic?
Yeah.
I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was pretty good.
Oh, come on.
All right, I didn't. I mean, the fact that they did like no gay stuff and not a lot of drugs was kind of weird. It was all right. I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good. Not terrible. But I'll give you a preview right now. I don't think The Runaways was a great biopic.
I didn't see that one.
That was the one where I think Kristen Stewart played Joan Jett and Dakota Fanning played Cherry Curry, maybe.
I feel like Walk Hard ruined every musical biopic. You know what I mean?
Why? Because
it just exposed to how dumb and goofy they are.
Well, like I told you, the James Brown one, where there's a single moment where he discovers funk. Where like he hears the bass player and the drummer do something and everything stops.
It's because they all follow the same formula.
Yeah. Although I did like The Dirt. I did like the Motley Crue documentary, not because it was accurate, but I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was quick. It was an hour and a half. Bada bing, bada boom, whatever. People are like, yeah, but it didn't do this. Blah, blah, blah. They screwed John Carr up. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
It was an enjoyable movie to me.
Yeah.
To me, what makes a biopic is you could know nothing about the band, not live through their tenure as a band, still watch it and enjoy yourself. And to me, that's what can make a great biopic. And I think you can get that from the Motley Crue movie.
I think if you're like a super fan of something,
you're not going to like the biopic.
You're not going to, yeah. Or even the documentary sometimes. Like the Zappa documentary that came out. Like, if you know nothing about Zappa, then it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're like a big time fan, then you want every goddamn tiny morsel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you're not getting it.
And you're just not going to get that. Yeah.
So that's your homework, guys. I want you to check some of these things out so you can follow along with us. Anyways, I think that pretty much wraps up 1996. I don't think we left anything out this time. But of course, when I say that and I listen back and I go, God damn it. You know, like, oh, that was the biggest year for my favorite band, and I'm not even mentioning it.
Well, hold on. I had a couple more.
Yeah. Go ahead and mention them before we go off here.
Let's see. Jesus Lizard put out Shot.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say this, I love their major label stuff.
Was that their major label debut?
No, I believe that was Down.
Yeah, it was Head, Goat, and then Down, and then Shot.
Yes.
Something like that.
Or maybe it was, I think Blue was the last one. I can't remember. And Girls Against Boys, House of GVSB.
Yeah.
So those were good ones.
Yep. So 1996 was great. And you know what? If you're listening to this on a format that allows you to make comments like a YouTube, put in your choices. Put in what you think we might have forgotten, or we're just going to move on. If you don't tell us, we're just going to move on. And I think we're going to do some pretty modern years coming up soon, right?
Yeah.
We're going to like throw in like a 2017 or something.
Yeah,
go crazy.
A little bit more recent memories.
Yeah, it'll be like a 3-minute episode because everything sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I like stuff. But next week, going to LA, playing a show with the Winger.
Nice.
Out there at the old Whiskey A Go Go. So hopefully
who's in their lineup?
It's the same lineup it's always
really?
been. Yep.
Nice.
They are
yeah.
That's the thing with them. They are the same lineup. So I'm excited. I love Reb Beach. I think he's fantastic. And for the past 10 years, he's been the musical director of Whitesnake as well. So he's been out there doing it, and seeing him live is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Rod Morgenstein.
One of the best.
One of the best.
Yep.
I'm excited to be. That's the thing, man. That's some of the cool things that I've gotten to do is, to be able to share the stage with a drummer like that. Like, that's big deal to me.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's even a better feeling than being in the band I'm in or anything. It's like I'm sharing the stage with fucking Rod Morgenstein.
Yeah.
He was on the cover of Modern Drummer, when I was a little kid. And I'd look at him and go, same thing with sharing the stage with Steven Adler. Like, that was great for me.
Right, yeah.
Not because he was on Celebrity Rehab, but because, Appetite for Destruction,
right,
some of my favorite drummers.
One good album.
Yeah. So, so I'll be able to talk about that and some really good shows coming up here that I'm excited. So we're going to wrap up the show. At the end of our theme song, I'm going to play a brand new song from the Unknown Errors, who are one of the newest Big Curve artists. And they are kind of a folky, indie rocky band.
I love it.
With Mike Shepard and Mike Hilton, formerly of Scott Farkas Affair and Butch. And this is their first project in 20 years, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's on my playlist.
It's great.
I love it.
It's ukulele, guitar, bass, little bit of drums, and Mike Shepard singing. And I don't know. Which one are we going to play here? I don't know. Let's see. Well, I like the Summertime song. I like that one. All right, we're gonna go there. So after this song fades out here in just a second, it's going to be the Unknown Errors, and you can grab them at bigcurvemusic.net. See you in 2 weeks. Or 4. Or something. Whenever we decide to do it.
the trees, so conditioned to the mission. I feel the longing of free. Let's all run through sunlight. Let's pass through one another. Let go and fall in, 'cause nothing here remains for anyone to keep. It's all attachment and a fraction of what we choose to see. Twist and turn